Good afternoon and welcome to the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce's Manufacturing Council Summer Summit. I'm Matt Powell, Assistant Vice President of Government and External Affairs at the Chamber, and also Staff Liaison for the Manufacturing Council. Thank you for tuning in. This summit will build off of what we learned in the March Summit on how businesses use different training programs for their workers. This time we will focus on formally recognized training programs that are available to your business that are utilized at top companies all around the world. If you have ever wondered what goes into starting a training program like an apprenticeship, this is the panel discussion for you. Combined, our panel of experts have decades of experience training workers and are extremely knowledgeable on what a business needs to do to get started. A special thank you to our friends at Workforce Board Lehigh Valley and Nancy Dishnot for making this summit possible. We will hear a few words from them soon. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in for our summit. We hope that you learned something new and enjoy it. We at the Chamber look forward to seeing you in person later this year at our next summit. I'd like to now turn it over to Gina Martens, Senior Vice President of Member Relations and Sales at the Chamber, to thank our sponsors.
Thanks, Matt. Let's take a minute to recognize and thank today's sponsors. Our presenting sponsor, Workforce Board Lehigh Valley. Thank you to Nancy Dishnot for all of your support of the Chamber throughout the year. Our corporate sponsor, Capital Blue Cross. Thank you to Ann Baum and your team at Capital Blue Cross. Our silver sponsors, Andra Hewitt Associates. Our bronze sponsors, the Chamber Health Marketplace, Enterprise Systems Partners Incorporated, and PSECU. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. And now, a few words from our presenting sponsor, Workforce Board Lehigh Valley.
Thank you, Gina. Nice name. Thank you so much. I'm Gina Kormanek, and I am the Director of Community Planning for the Workforce Board Lehigh Valley. On behalf of the Workforce Board Lehigh Valley, PA CareerLink Lehigh Valley, our Lehigh and Northampton County executives, certainly the Chamber Manufacturing Council, and Tony Iannelli and his team at the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, who serves as our workforce system connection to more than 6,000 employers throughout the Lehigh Valley. Thank you for joining us today, and we thank our board members, Lorraine Facenda and Paul Anthony, for also being involved. Businesses like you are clamoring for workers within our economy, which is now beginning to stabilize at a 6.7% unemployment rate, but truly a far cry from the double-digit rate from this time last year. We currently have 23,300 people that are unemployed, and as we say at the Workforce Board and CareerLink, we know every single one of them. Manufacturing is our third largest employer right now, according to the PA Center for Workforce Information and Analysis, with almost 33,000 workers, or 11.2% of our workforce, employed at nearly 800 manufacturing facilities. When we convened in March, as Scott said, at the Spring Manufacturing Summit, we heard a preview of the state's enhanced apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship strategy led by Tara Lowe, who you'll hear in just a moment, the Commonwealth's new director of the Office of Apprenticeship and Training. And today we will recall and remember the fundamentals of registering pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs, which are career pathway programs that are being rebooted with streamlined procedures and backed by subject matter experts, working with all of you, working with the workforce system, the chamber, and the apprenticeship office to walk our number one customer, you, the employer, through a user-friendly process. Apprenticeships are proven answers to our growing economy that emphasize training, education, and advancement to build a current and future work pipeline. We continue to reach out to education and the workforce. Come on in. We need you now, but we need you skilled, educated, trained, and ready to work. There are many training and apprenticeship models focused on career pathways, and many of you are already working with us at the Workforce Board to develop apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeships and career pathways. And our goal, as you've heard us say it, and we're going to say it again and again, is that every employer, almost all 16,000 of you in the Lehigh Valley, work with us to illustrate, to map a career pathway or an apprenticeship that will be placed on workforce system websites And now we're digitizing and animating them too. They'll be placed on every school district website, these pathways, career and technical schools, 2- and 4-year colleges, to make sure that students, teachers, guidance counselors, job seekers, and the public can see the education, training, apprenticeship pathways, experience, culture, and the path to enter and advance within your company. The Workforce Board and CareerLink stand ready to assist you. Our contact information will be in the chat room, so please call, and thank you. And I would appreciate it if would join me in welcoming Scott Polochik from ESPI and chairman of the Manufacturing Council. Scott?
Thanks, Gina, and thanks to you and Nancy and everybody at the Workforce Board Lehigh Valley for being a huge part of our summit today and always being a supporter of the council and of the chamber as well. When we had our last summit, we talked a lot about the informal side of the training. A lot of companies are beginning to have difficulty in getting new employees and retaining those employees. So a lot of companies are looking to incentivize their employees by adding additional training and skills. And then now we're looking at even more advanced. So these are the formalized training and more state certified apprenticeship programs. I'm Scott Polochik. I'm with ESPI. I'm the chair for the Manufacturing Council, and I want to welcome you today. So first, let's start with Tara. Can you give me just on the registered apprenticeship side, give us a brief overview on how it works and what some of the registered programs are in the state of PA?
Sure. So when I talk about apprenticeship, I like to talk about what I call the 5 key components to apprenticeship. And it's interesting because I think apprenticeship, especially now, is a little bit of a buzzword, but when you actually get down to it and ask people to define it, they're not quite sure how to define a registered apprenticeship. So on an extremely basic level, apprenticeship is an employer-driven, learn while you earn, structured training model customized to an occupation, an industry, and the actual job site or employer that the apprenticeship is a part of. Apprenticeship combines on-the-job training and job-related technical instruction. An apprentice is a full-time paid employee from the start of the program, and apprenticeship involves progressive increases in an apprentice's wages, along with their skills, competencies, or program hours. I like to affectionately call apprenticeship an on-the-job training degree. And those 5 components that are so extremely important to the apprenticeship structure is number 1, paid job. As we said, apprentices are paid employees who produce high quality work while they learn skills that enhance that employer's specific needs. Component number 2, on-the-job learning. That's that related technical instruction, and that develops skilled workers through structured learning in a work setting. I misspoke there. On-the-job learning, and then classroom learning is the related technical instruction, and that involves job-related skills through education in a classroom setting. This is essentially the theory behind the on-the-job learning and the practical application. Component number 4 is mentorship, and that is so extremely important to the apprenticeship structure. So mentorship provides apprentices with the support of a skilled worker and hopefully multiple skilled workers to assist and enhance critical hands-on learning. The mentorship through apprenticeship also allows seasoned workers to pass down that knowledge to the new workforce coming in. And the 5th component is credentials. So apprenticeship in itself offers a portable, nationally recognized credential to be issued at the completion of the program. And we know some of the best apprenticeship programs actually incorporate multiple industry recognized credentials throughout as well.
Thank you. So Lorraine, I know that Lafarge has several apprenticeship programs, accredited apprenticeship programs. Can you tell us a little bit on your basically the investment that Lafarge saw in that and what you did, the steps that you did to put that in place at Lafarge?
Had someone come to the plant. They did some interviews with existing employees who were doing that job. Also had interviews with some of the supervisors, some of the managers at the plant, so we could really tailor the program for those skills that we needed for our position. And in the end, we came out with a very structured, very complete training program where not only does the company get a very skilled employee at the end of the program, but the employee also walks away with a journeyman card, which in that case, it's a win-win situation. I mean, certainly we want those employees to stay employees of our company, but it gives them a bit of a win because they also come out of the program with something that is tangible.
That's great. Thank you, Lorraine. So let's go over to Paul Anthony. Paul, can you tell us a little bit, now you're on the union side, so can you tell us some of the benefits of an apprentice should see as a registered apprenticeship in a union shop as opposed to going outside of that?
Sure. One of the biggest benefits is the partnership that we have with the contractors. The contractors have their association, and our apprenticeship program is called the JATC, which is the Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee. It's an equal number of contractors, an equal number of union members on there, and that makes up the committee. So when an apprentice is going through our program, Lorraine touched on it, and so did Tara, about there are progressive steps that are taken after your first year, complete school, you advance to the next level. All the contractors are on board with that. So there's not an issue of somebody progressing throughout our program. That's probably one of the biggest benefits, with our apprentices. Somebody's in our program, they know at the 5th level, once they finish school and all their OJT, they'll graduate, become a journey level worker, just like Lorraine had, or has, I should say.
Okay. And Vince, how does ABC's workforce development program help connect education to the construction side?
Well, like most industries, we have a pretty robust relationship with our area schools, specifically for us, although not entirely specifically, but career and tech schools obviously offer the best relationship for us because their students are studying some sort of construction. We have them on our workforce board, and we're in those schools all the time. We still, I think, at least in my opinion, the industry as a whole needs to do a little bit better job to explain the opportunities involved in really any trade, in any part of the industry, union, non-union, whatever. The opportunities are out there, and we don't necessarily explain the success skills that are required for that. Typically, it's been sort of a perception problem.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I think that education is a key in letting people understand that there are many different paths out there and not just singular 4-year college. Please, anyone that is attending, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them out in the chat. What I'd like to do is move over to Tara again. Tara, if a company has an apprenticeship program within their company, how long does it take for them and what steps do they need to get it accredited with the state?
Sure. So, I think that's customizable in a sense. I think that's going to be individualized to each different company. It would be hard for me to sit there and say, oh yeah, you can develop a program in a matter of 2 months, right? Because it really depends on that organization's needs and some of the pieces, and depending on if that organization has some of those pieces in place. So, there are multiple components to developing a program. And then we would go into doing the registration paperwork after that. So luckily, through our office, the Apprenticeship and Training Office, we do have staff in place that really help potential program sponsors through every piece of that journey. Lorraine kind of pointed out someone from the Department of Labor came and did interviews. That's something that our staff of apprenticeship and training representatives can and should certainly do. We really want to meet each individual program sponsor where they're at. And that might look like facilitating meetings, bringing together certain partners, certainly filling out the registration paperwork together. And Paul hinted to this as well. For joint programs, for union affiliated programs, there is a requirement to have a joint apprenticeship training committee. And even for non-joint programs, that is something that our staff would certainly recommend up front, is forming a committee to help develop that program and then certainly be a part of the consistent maintenance and possible enhancement of that program throughout.
Okay. Lorraine, as far as the administration, how much from Lafarge's side do you guys put into, training materials and getting people involved? And how many people do you move through your program typically?
So I will say that we are a union facility. And these positions that we have the apprentice program for are union positions. And we do have a joint committee for the apprentice program, which is comprised of hourly employees and salaried employees. And they meet about once a month and talk about the progress of the apprentice. The apprentice is there in the meeting. They talk about the progress, what things are going well, what things are not going well. And the beauty of the apprentice program that we put together, when we went into COVID, lots of things stopped, right? There was no training, no schools closed, all of that stuff. A good part of our program is online. So, the technical part of it doesn't, when we say classroom, doesn't necessarily mean that somebody has to go to a classroom. Your program can be designed such that it can include online training, classroom training. It can be textbooks and tests and all of those things. It is very customizable. So as far as the time that we take for the program, we have one meeting a month to talk about the progress. And then quite a bit of the time that the employee is working is on the job training. So he's teamed with a senior employee or the supervisor of the area to go through different tasks and do different exercises. And the on-the-job training is very structured as well. So the classroom learning is tied to the in the field learning. So what they study in classroom or online or however that may be presented is done at the same time that the on-the-job training. So one reinforces the other, which then adds to the skill level, because many people learn in different ways. Some people learn by reading, some people are visual learners, some people are more cognitive, they need to touch and feel and do. So this enables us to present the learning in various different ways so that different learners can learn in those various ways.
Mm-hmm. Very true. So Paul, question for you. This is probably first and foremost on most people's mind. If I'm going to become an apprentice, what am I looking at? How much am I looking to make from a salary standpoint from beginning to end of an apprenticeship type program? What is the potential there?
All right, I don't have the numbers memorized, so I have to read them. So a starting apprentice, starts out at $14.93 an hour. At 1,000 hours, he'll graduate to $17.06. 2,000 hours and school complete is $21. 5,000 hours complete at third year of school, it's 29 hours up to 34. And then when we top them out, our top out rate is $42.65. That's our journey level rate. Okay. So the apprentices knows once they're indentured into our program, those are those levels. They hit those levels, they know that they will continue on and graduate.
That's great. And Vince, so what do you see? I mean, we talked a little bit earlier about the perception, and certainly that perception being a little bit of a hurdle. What other hurdles do you see as far as those obstacles to getting people into the programs or getting people interested in apprenticeships? Is there anything else that you see other than just the major misconception on what is involved?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, as I said, we work with a lot of the career and tech schools. There's not a lot of trained construction employees walking around who are not already working. So as an employer, your best bet for your future workforce growth and development is to really kind of start growing your own, meaning interacting with the graduating career and tech schools. And it's not a disparaging statement, but construction is an industry where you need to work hard, and sometimes people are not willing to take that leap and put in the work, physical work. But those that we do find are like amazing employees. So it's a little bit of a selection process, and of course it's always been, but I think it's a little more of a selection process now than it was previously.
Yeah. Scott, can I just add something to Vince's comments there?
Sure.
About some of the roadblocks? When I was training director, I'd go in, like Vince says, into the VOTEX and we were on the OAC committees. We found the math skills lacking in the high school students. And I know some of the techs, and even in manufacturing, you need those skills of math. We're heavy in math. Electricians are heavy in math. I'm assuming manufacturing is also for skilled manufacturing. So some of the techs, I'm sorry, I call them techs, showing my age, but they've actually have tutors now in their school, in the techs, that actually teach the math so that a student understands why they need to know algebra to get into the electrical field. It's not you're sitting in a math class saying, I'll never have to use this. Well, they'll show them, yes, when you look at power factors, you have to figure something out, or bending conduit, that student can relate and then finally say, hey, I need these math skills to get into the programs. So on that end, that's kind of like a roadblock we've seen, and some of the techs have really helped us out that way in getting the math skills up for us.
Yeah, completely agree, Paul.
And I've been speaking with a lot of companies that are looking into even expanding out into paying for their employees to attend and get certified in Lean Six Sigma and things like that, because now it allows those people to come in and view things differently when they have that sort of additional training. It keeps those employees engaged, and again, they just bring value as being looking at things a little bit differently.
So when somebody's graduates from the apprentice program, we don't see them leaving.
So loyalty is a good thing. I thought your answer was going to be duct tape, but that's loyalty is much better.
Yeah, and honestly, with the climate that we have now of not being able to find employees, we use this apprentice program when we're interviewing as a perk for people to come and work for us. So, they're graduating from high school, they're coming in as unskilled labor, and we tell them about the apprentice program and how someday you might get into this program. And it's a draw for people to join us.
Tara, what resources, with your you talked a little bit about some of the resources available to help companies in development of their programs. Is there anything else that's available to employers to help them with development? I know that there is WEDNet funding for training and things like that, but are there other resources available from the state to help companies with developing and sort of expanding these types of programs?
Sure. So really quickly, before I answer that question, I did want to quote a statistic that I often use, because I would say, just kind of to answer the last question, some of the concerns that I often hear from new potential program sponsors is, yes, okay, this is an investment in my workforce. I recognize that that's so important, but the fear is, what if I lose them? So I always quote the statistic that at the completion of an apprenticeship program, 91% of all apprentices stay with that employer. And within 3 years, that percentage only drops to 90%. And that's pretty darn good compared to the 3-year retention rate of college graduates is below 70% at this point. So I always like to kind of put that into perspective. So, you know, 100% guarantee to employers that apprentices are fully qualified for your job, as this is a structured program with not just industry standards in mind, but the skills and needs of that individual employer and job site in mind. We need to remember the employer really is the foundation. And although we believe the benefits of apprenticeship greatly outweigh the costs, through registered apprenticeship, you can access additional funding and resources which could help in developing a program, or to even directly support the RTI cost, which is that classroom learning cost, or the wages paid during the on-the-job training. So some of that funding includes things like the Pell Grant, and mind you, this is only for officially registered programs, so not an unofficial apprenticeship program. So access to Pell Grant, access to GI bills. Through registering your program, you could potentially get access to Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act funds. Those are dispersed through the career links to eligible individuals. There's funding available for PA Department of Community and Economic Development. And also through our office, we have some various discretionary funds, including apprenticeship state expansion funds, state apprenticeship expansion funds, and those largely reimburse the employer for the RTI or the OJT salary costs per apprentice. We also have something called PA Smart funds, and those often target developing programs and a few initial cohorts. And just putting a bug in everyone's ear that the hope is to come out with our new PA Smart funds, hopefully starting in August. So please be on the lookout for that. Again, that is a good bit of state funding that really helps develop new programs or enhance existing programs. And typically we look for farther reaching programs and also funding to an application with funding to support at least a few initial cohorts. My continued disclaimer is, however, apprenticeship really pays for itself. And we do have some funding and resources available to assist, but that shouldn't be the only reason why someone gets involved in apprenticeship.
Sure. So Paul, let's talk a little bit about, okay, we need to get more people involved. We need to reach out to the youth and things like that. What are some of the things that you guys can do, or your organizations can help to raise awareness and raise provide information or some skills to the youth that say, this is a path that you might want to consider a little bit more consciously than just being thrown at it. So,
Right. So when I first started as training director, I'd go into the high schools and, I'd talk about our career to the kids. And I kind of got the impression they didn't want to listen. No, they didn't want to hear me talk about our career. So then I started going into the junior high schools, talking to those students. And some of those students you can grab when they do career nights with parents. And you kind of grab those parents. And you kind of get the parents on board of what we're doing, what they're out there to offer. And now my training director actually goes into the elementary schools and he'll do presentations. We just call it stupid experiments. He'll just do stupid experiments with kids, but that leads into there needs to be more STEM and STEAM education early in elementary school. And Vince talked about that, the hand-to-eye coordination, just like a little mechanical ability. That's where we need to get the grassroots started. For anybody, for manufacturing, for construction, really is the STEAM and STEM. And we really need to start concentrating on that. So my training director, he's a lot younger. He's aggressive. Like I said, he'll go into the elementary schools, do things with the kids. But that's where we all need to just work together and just get STEAM and STEM started early.
Excellent point. Vince, I 100% agree with what Paul said. 4th, 5th, 6th grade parents are the ones that really need to get involved on that side and get an education on that. So when you reach out to those, to parents and to youth, do you try to push and let them know that some of these programs, these apprenticeship programs, they count as college credits as well? I mean, there's a lot of things that can count for their further development. So it provides them additional areas of opportunity to expand their learning and expand their education.
Absolutely. Nobody should be under the misconception that an apprenticeship is replacement for college only. You can go from there through articulation agreements that we have with several of the area colleges on to a college degree in whatever it is you want to do. To talk a little bit about the parents, though, some of the information that we need to get to the parents, they don't necessarily understand, and they're not, there's not a lot of children who grow up watching mom or dad in the household fix things anymore.
So Lorraine, what do you guys have a great story about some of your apprentices?
Oh my gosh, yes. So first, I want to echo what Paul and Vince said. I mean, we go into the middle schools here in the Lehigh Valley. We invite the middle schools to come and do tours through the plant. We've had in different disciplines, following a millwright, following an electrician, following an engineer through the plant to help them with deciding what they want to do as a career. So I think it's important for us as employers to make it known to students what the career paths are for them. And it's only by us going out there and talking to the students that they're actually going to know. I mean, I talk about we're a cement manufacturer, but there are so many different career pathways that someone can have in my industry, and people don't necessarily know that. We just had a graduate from our mill this year, beginning of the year, and we've had at least 5 or 6 graduates in the last 3 years from our program. And again, it is a win-win situation. We have highly skilled employees, and with having these employees go through this apprentice program, I see a direct correlation to an increase in reliability of our equipment versus when we had employees that were less skilled. So it saves us money because we increase our reliability. They do better maintenance. They do better electrical work, and the plant wins because it improves our performance.
Excellent. So Tara, can you provide us with, give us a contact information and where people can find out more information about, from you and your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to get a hold of us would be reaching out to our resource account, which is simply apprenticeship@pa.gov. I also will tell you that one of the initial things that I noticed when I started this position was that we really didn't have a lot of Pennsylvania specific resources. And like everyone on this panel quoted, we really need to ensure that we're educating our parents and our youth about the benefits of apprenticeship. And I'm a little biased, but it being kind of one of the premier solutions to our workforce needs. So we're actually in the process of totally revamping our web pages on both the PA CareerLink page and the Department of Labor page. And we also recently created a number of new resources like job seeker focused one-pagers, employer focused one-pagers, guides to potential funding. My team is also putting together a series of different webinars, kind of strategically targeting school districts, businesses, larger organizations, to kind of try to help advocate and raise awareness about the benefits of apprenticeship. So again, the easiest way to get a hold of us would be to use the resource account, email us directly. If you're looking to develop a program, our Nukia, who is our clerk, will connect you to the appropriate apprenticeship and training representative, and that apprenticeship and training representative will help you assess if apprenticeship is the right fit, and then help go through the motions of developing a program. But also, if you just want someone to come and do an apprenticeship 101, to provide different resources, to speak to job seekers, that's certainly something within our scope as well.
And just to give you a little kudos, I'm working with a client, and it was funny because they have different locations across the United States. So we kind of reached out to some of these other states to find out if they have programs like we do in Pennsylvania for training and development and things like that. And there was one state that was so impressed that they contacted 3 or 4 different outlets. I think your department, WedNet, and a few others, because they were like, we really want to mold what you guys are doing, because you guys are kind of leading the trail here. So excellent work, and certainly thank you very much for all your help in helping to develop companies and helping develop that workforce as well.
Thank you so much. Such important work.
Yep. Paul, last, let's if there's anything, how do people get in touch with you if they would like to speak with you on getting into your different types of programs?
Yeah, 2 ways is a lot of people just call the hall office here, the apprenticeship office. They do that. And our applications now are online. You just go to our website, apprenticeship training, and it's just, you fill out the form online, and it's that simple to get the process started.
And it's online, it's IBEW
375.org.
Okay. And same, Vince?
Yep, all you need to do is you can get to me or any of the staff at abceastpa.org.
Excellent. Lorraine, we definitely want to thank you for your time and certainly being on the board and what Lafarge does as far as reaching out to the community and having those different opportunities available to bring in students. I know you guys do a lot for Manufacturing Week in October, and we certainly look forward to that. So I'm going to open it up to our chat and see. I know there was a few questions, and just wanted to make sure. Let's see. Give me a sec.
Scott, can I just interject one thing, because
Sure.
we did kind of bring up the concept of youth apprenticeship, and I did want to just talk a little bit briefly
Sure.
about pre-apprenticeship and some of the work that we're doing on the pre-apprenticeship,
Absolutely.
and really what we hope to see across the Commonwealth. And I would also recommend reaching out to the Workforce Board, because I know Gina and Nancy are doing a lot of important work with the school districts to try to essentially have apprenticeship viewed as the premier work-based learning pathway, and potentially even have a specific pathway. So if you're not already familiar, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania does have an officially recognized pre-apprenticeship program, and those are essentially programs that assist individuals in obtaining the fundamental skills needed to enter an apprenticeship. And some of the work that we're hoping to do is actually go into the CTCs and get any vocational programs potentially registered as pre-apprenticeships We're also actually strategically going into the Department of Corrections and working with some of their vocational programs to see what could fit the mold of a pre-apprenticeship as well. And pre-apprenticeships are great because you're still getting some of those core components, that hands-on learning, that approved training and curriculum, but it's really designed to get populations up to the point of being ready for an apprenticeship. So if we know specific apprenticeships or certain industries really need those math skills, a pre-apprenticeship would certainly concentrate heavily on preparing with some of those math skills, exposing individuals to the industries, and potentially even incorporating some of those basic soft skills and employability skills.
Sorry, I'm reading a couple questions real quick. So you said that you're working with the Department of Corrections. Are you also reaching out and to some of the organizations that are working with at-risk youth?
Yes. So there are currently across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, there are close to 100 registered pre-apprenticeship programs. And the beauty of pre-apprenticeship is a pre-apprenticeship sponsor could be a school district, a career and tech center, a community-based organization working with at-risk youth, workforce development boards, and also the traditional employer and associations. My disclaimer is one of the core components, in addition to the training curriculum and hands-on learning, is also ensuring that you're connected to an existing apprenticeship program. And the design of the pre-apprenticeship keeps in mind the design of the apprenticeship program. So it really should be built with the apprenticeship program in mind.
Gotcha.
Scott, could I jump in here for 1 second?
Absolutely.
Just to touch on what two things that, excuse me, that Tara said. One, ABC is one of those pre-apprenticeship programs, and we operate under the PA SMART grant that we were awarded at the beginning of the year. It's working extremely well. We're in the process of opening a pre-apprenticeship program in Center City, Philadelphia, specifically aimed at our partners, our community-based organizations serving the non-traditional and underserved communities and bringing the job opportunities and pathways to those folks. We're just now getting the fit out of the new training center completed, and the pre-apprenticeship classes will start the end of July. Those folks that transition from there to the apprenticeship classes, they'll start in October. And we're looking at about 60 apprentices at the end of it.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think, do you, Paul, are you guys doing anything on the pre-apprenticeship side?
Not a formal training program. We do two things. Well, we do a few things, but one of them is a summer helper program.
Okay.
You have to be 18 years old. You don't have to be a graduate of high school yet or college, but you have to be 18 years old, and that gives the person a kind of like an introduction. And Vince touched on it, that somebody out of high school has to realize they have to work 5 days a week, 7 to 3:30, and so many younger people don't understand that concept. So as a summer helper, it not only introduces them to the trades a little bit, but also maybe like a little bit of life in reality. And then we also partner with Building 21 down here. It's a charter school in Allentown. We taught one track down here. We'd have the students come up here and do some hands-on training upstairs. And it wasn't necessarily to get the students interested in electrical trade, but if they pick up something they'd like to do, at least we're getting them to the career where they want to do something. So it's not a pre-apprenticeship for us. It was just kind of like trying to get these students kind of like set somewhere where they want to go in their career. So that's two programs I can think of right now.
Okay. No, that's fantastic. Lorraine, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be on the panel today. I think, if anybody knows anyone that would like to do any internships or anything like that, Scott, you have my contact information. We can certainly share that out.
Sure. Vince, any closing remarks?
Pretty much the same thing. If anybody's interested and wants to work with ABC, abceastpa.org, you can get to us.
All right. And Paul?
Just, thank you for the opportunity to present. And like everybody else, my building's available in the summer. Our classes are September through, well, we're going through June now because of COVID pushed back. But, we can definitely do something here during the summer.
And Tara, thank you. And any closing remarks from you?
No, I was just going to say I recently got to see Paul's building, and it's an absolutely impressive operation. So certainly lean on Paul and everyone else on this call, as well as our team, to look for best practices and how to potentially build programs and evaluate programs. It's a great set of experts here.
Thank you, and thank everybody again thank you all for taking the time today. I think it was a fantastic conversation. There was a lot of things coming through on the chat with people saying that this was a very good talk, very informative. So that's certainly what we try to do, with each one of these summits. Right now, that really concludes our panel discussion. Again, thank our panelists. I'd also like to again thank our sponsors, the Workforce Board of Lehigh Valley. Special thank you to Nancy Dishnot, Capital Blue Cross, Anbaum there, and excuse me, Andrew Hewitt Associates, PSECU, and the Chamber Health Marketplace. We will be working on our next topic, which hopefully our next summit will be in person in the fall. We're really going to keep our fingers crossed for that. We've had a lot of people talking about asking on a little bit on the insurance, and I don't think we've ever had a summit which dealt on insurance. So I think that might be something that we'll be taking a look at for the next one. But certainly I want to thank you all. If you can check out the program and brochures of our sponsors and some of the contact information for each one of our panelists, they'll be on the Manufacturing Council webpage at LehighValleyChamber.org. All right, everyone. Well, thank you again for your time today and have a great day.